Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and I'm back with a little insight into the planets and the stars and the moon and what they're doing right now. There's an occasion for this. We have another full moon and it's going to be on August 31st, which I think is Thursday. It's going to be early in the morning or in the nighttime at 3:36 if you're in Berlin. And it's happening in the Pisces and Virgo axis. The moon is going to be in Pisces and the sun is going to be in Virgo. So let's talk about it. We know that the full moon is kind of a moment where the moon, which is our luminary body representing our emotions, is being fully illuminated by the sun, and at the same time this light that is the sun, which kind of represents our vital force and also our ego self, our sense of identity, and all of those structures, the rational thinking, all of those abilities that allow us to kind of move forwards in a with a personal sense of identity. And the moon is kind of more our intuitive, non-rational, kind of deeper sense that isn't so much connected to personality, but more this kind of like soul feeling. So these two are in opposition, and this light of the sun that we usually see directly is being fully soaked in by the moon and then reflected back to us. So in the full moon nights, we also receive more of the sun's light, but kind of through a filter. And it's that filter that gives us a different and unique perspective. Pisces, where the moon is right now, is the sign that really connects to the bigger spiritual field. It's kind of the collective field. It's also really this understanding of the spiritual self. And the whole axis, Virgo and Pisces, is very much about being in service and understanding kind of how things are organized. But Pisces is more of a non-self service. It's a more spiritual service. It's how nature and how the collective field is organized. And then Virgo is a more earthly service. So it's also the daily service, the day-to-day tasks and the daily organization, and the more, in that sense, more personal organization, because it's connected to your life specifically as you, as an individual. So those might be two fields where we are experiencing heightened awareness at this time, or where maybe the conversations will revolve more around this. We will have more reflective moments. So the sun is kind of setting the light, the identity, or the part of the rational self is more connected right now to this area of Virgo. And Virgo is not only organization, but it's also the ability to discern, to judge. And Virgo comes from virgin, which is a term meaning self-sovereignty. It's the uninfluenced energy. It's the uninfluenced self. It's a virgin energy, an energy that is not dependent and has not been touched, has not been influenced by anything from the external plane. So it has a very beautiful quality of being connected to the own true will. So that's where the sun is right now. We have an ability to rationally grasp and to also express outwards that sovereign will that we have. And across from that, we have a heightened emotional and intuitive access to understanding the things that are beyond the self, to maybe feeling into the bigger picture. And also it's a time where this spiritual field becomes a beautiful resource for us to use. So anything that is collective, but that is kind of connected to an intention that is beyond the self, that is kind of about being in service to the world, being in service to maybe the earth as a whole, being in service to nature as a whole, or to the development of the spirit as a whole. That's right now is a beautiful resource to be able to connect with parts of ourself, parts of our emotion, that will then help enhance the communication with also the rational self and the ego and our core identity. So those are two areas where we can pay a little bit of attention to, and it's a great time also, since Mercury is right now retrograding also in the sign of Virgo. It's a great time to really focus in on that Virgo energy and understanding how to be in service day to day to ourselves also. And that includes organizing, discerning, being able to judge what is to do in the moment, and being able to judge from what place are we doing that, and have we been influenced or have we been sovereign in making that decision or feeling that emotion. Yeah, it's an interesting time, given the look back on the previous weeks. We've done a lot of reconnecting to core parts of ourselves. We've done a lot of releasing of anger. We've done a lot of showing our shadows and kind of presenting them to the world and to ourselves. And so right now it's about finding out how to really integrate that, and how to put all of these insights that we've had, how to really put them into service for our continuing development. So understanding how we can apply that day to day, how we can craft also a new identity, and at the same time how we can connect into feeling and intuitively sensing from a space that is not only focused on how we are used to perceiving ourselves as individuals, but also perceiving ourselves as parts of an organism, parts of a bigger connected being. Yeah, it's also a full moon, which means that from the point of view of the moon cycle, there are cycles within cycles, and we had a new moon about 2 weeks ago and a full moon now, but also we had a new moon 6 months ago. That is now the full moon in Pisces. We had a new moon in Pisces that was 6 months ago. So this was on the 20th of February. And it's interesting also to look back to the 20th of February and to that week, and kind of remember and reflect on what was initiated. What seeds did you plant? What intentions did you speak out to yourself? And remembering what that felt like. Because now at the full moon, we have a bigger, more illuminated picture regarding similar themes. And these times are connected. And the cycle will then end with the next new moon in Pisces, where there is going to be then the closing point and the new cycle beginning. And it's interesting if we take a look at what happened, or what transits were going on at that time, because I see some really interesting things happening here. For one, we have two squares that happened in February, and now those two square aspects are both trine aspects. So we've moved from square energy to trine energy, which is probably a good thing. I mean, it's always both sides of the coin, but squares have the tendency to feel challenging because they're really a point that is not so smooth and so easy to move. The energy has to have a little push sometimes. It has to have a little more conscious approach to be integrated. While trines tend to flow very easily. They tend to flow so easily and expand so much. But also sometimes we need to understand when to kind of tone things down and bottle things up a little bit. But yeah, one of these aspects is we have Uranus in Taurus during the new moon. So 6 months ago, we had a square between Mercury and Uranus. And Mercury was in Aquarius and Uranus was in Taurus. And this square puts a lot of tension on communication and wanting to break free, wanting to bring new things, wanting to say innovative things. And Taurus representing the body, and Uranus may also feel this really strong desire to want physical changes. While the square might mean that there may be some tensions, maybe some things were spoken out, like some changes that you were demanding. It could also have been a time of where we were initiating a kind of a reprogramming of our nervous systems, a reprogramming of our chemical communication in the body. So now we have a trine aspect where Mercury is no longer in Gemini, but in Virgo. And Uranus is still in Taurus, retrograding right now. So Uranus is still in the same sign, but it's moved a little bit forwards, and also now it's retrograding. So it's already in a reflective state where it's kind of looking back and integrating things that have been brought, taking a little more time in that area. Mercury's also retrograde, so both of these energies are kind of slowed down. They're about not so much initiating new things, but really integrating the changes. And they're both now in earth signs. So it's not earth and air anymore, but it's really focused on earth. So also this communication of Mercury right now is not so much focused on new ideas and visions and innovative technologies and community systems, but it's really right now focused on communicating the raw truth of the untouched, of the sovereign self. And that trine is very helpful for us to really redirect any energy that has been kind of scattered, bring it back in and focus it. And focus it into the body and focus it into the daily experience. And the other aspect, where was it? I'm not sure I can find it again. I had a little look at the chart, but I should have taken some notes maybe. But yeah, there's also something interesting with Pluto, which is that Pluto right now is almost exactly in the same degree that it was in 6 months ago. So back then it was in 29 degrees of Capricorn. Right now it's in 28 degrees of Capricorn and it's retrograding. So in the last 6 months, Pluto has gone all the way to Aquarius and then gone back, and now it's in the same degree it was in during that full moon. Pluto really represents our evolution, our evolutionary path, and the soul as a vehicle for evolution. From kind of like this much bigger perspective, Pluto is a transgenerational planet that takes many years to cycle and doesn't represent so much our daily emotions and experiences, but really our whole life and our whole existence from a purpose perspective. So the point right now is really very much connected to that evolutionary understanding that we've already had in February, and especially evolutionary understandings that we have felt on the 20th of February. Right now is a time to reflect on those, to really understand the purpose of what is happening. Not only understanding what is happening and why is it happening from like a cause and effect point of view, or from like a trigger point of view where you're like, I understand why I'm triggered because this thing happened, but understanding behind that, why am I triggered by this thing? For what purpose? What experience is this allowing me? Why actually is my soul coming here to be triggered by this thing? Why does my soul choose that? What do I want to evolve from? In which way do I want to evolve? And this Pluto is also right now in sextile to Neptune in Pisces. So there's a heightened ability. A sextile is also a nice flowing aspect that brings us a lot of potential. We can choose to activate and utilize that potential. And so Pisces is again the sign of the collective and the spiritual field. And Neptune is also a very, very dreamy sign. It's also kind of the planet that governs Pisces, so it's really at home there. It's where it comes from, basically. And it's the energy of the psychic realm, of the intuition, of hypnosis, meditation, of the dream world. And both of these planets also, again, are in retrograde. So this is really a moment where if we try to move forward and push forward with things, we may feel like there's a lot of resistance, because right now the energies are really focused on looking behind, looking back, and reflecting and discerning. So if we feel like we're very, very stuck right now, that's okay. Because right now we may have a tendency to feel like we're not moving forward quick enough, but this will change. And right now we can utilize the moment. What do we do when we feel stuck? It's a great time to reflect and maybe even slow down even more, really surrendering to that energy, because that's also the Pisces Virgo axis of surrendering, of being in service to the energy that flows through us. So in our day-to-day life and in our spiritual understanding, slowing down may be very helpful right now to actually open up to the gifts that we have access to, which is a heightened intuitive experience, a heightened psychic sense of seeing and understanding, and really emotionally integrating things that have happened. Because then when we are ready to continue moving forward, because that's what the energies are naturally doing at a point, we will be really ready, and we will not go into something with a lot of unresolved packages, but we will be really ready to actually move forward. And these things like co-align, they influence each other. So we also move forwards when we're ready, because we're ready, and we can also move forwards by slowing down in that sense. Yeah, we have a lot of interesting interplays. We also have that Jupiter energy in Taurus, which is still kind of guiding it's also kind of in that trine with Mercury. So Jupiter is also really expansive and really protective. So I view this as a really beneficial moment. It's a very beautiful full moon. It might feel intense because of that trine energy and because everything is expanding so much at the moment. We might feel overwhelmed. But I do feel that we are reaching a point where we're more accepting of what is happening. And yeah, we're more able to really utilize the potential. We also have Pallas Athena there within that trine. And that again is really the ability to kind of craft the tools that we need to break free from something, and we can craft them ourselves, and we can craft them from the inside and really use them to break free, to break out of that cocoon, to break out of that trap, and activating our sense of creativity for finding solutions, and being able to really utilize inspiration from many different fields. So also in our daily life, in our day-to-day experience, right now it may be helpful to kind of, while staying organized, to remember the many different various factors that are important. Also with our routines, not getting stuck on a routine that is super repetitive, but maybe having more influences from other areas that complement that routine, that kind of supplement it and enhance, enrich it. Yeah, and remembering that we can really learn through this cross-disciplinary way of experiencing life, where we look somewhere else in order to have inspiration that we then bring back into the place from where we looked and from where we searched. Yeah, we also have there was another aspect I wanted to mention that I'm not quite sure where it was here, but that's okay. Yeah, so we have also still Venus right now that is opposite of Chariklo and very close to Juno in the signs of Leo and Aquarius, and this is still energy that is really helping us heal. Heal from a very, very, very sensitive place, from a very soft and caring place. And there's also a trine between this Venus and Chiron, so we are really able to feel our wounds still, and we are really able to maybe we want to respond very quickly to those triggers, if that is a trigger reaction or kind of the healed action. We have a sense of immediacy, a sense of urgency with that Aries energy, but we also may have a feeling of a bigger curiosity for testing things out, for trying things out, and really feel connected to our core desires and the things that we want to attract, and how we want to experience safety, how we want to experience being loved and feeling loved, and feeling like we are able to create the life that we desire. And this opposition with Chariklo in Aquarius allows us to understand the places in which we need to apply that softness in order to heal. The Aquarius energy is helping us to understand where to apply that also in the group of our social environment, or like in the environment of our social groups. So really understanding how also our expressions and what it is that we want to desire is also connected to the healing and the desire to heal and to be softer for the bigger collective experience, for the innovative experience, for the purpose of connecting and tapping in to a source of nourishment that kind of is from beyond and goes beyond just the present moment. So I feel that we're also able to feel more into the future right now. It could be a good time to invite planning that is of a longer term. So yeah, I invite you to allow yourself to dream or to envision your goals, not only for the next month, but to really envision what do you want to draw in to your experience, into your field, into your groups, into your creative fields, into your family life also. What do you want to draw in the next 2 years, 5 years? And really allow yourself to imagine that, even if you tend to be someone who loves to live in the day-to-day, but just allowing yourself to feel. I think we have a heightened potential for utilizing that right now. Yeah. So one more thing that we have. This was the other aspect that I was trying to find earlier. 6 months ago, we had a square between the North Node and Lilith energy. So kind of our, so also with the South Node, because the North and South Node are on an axis, and then we have Lilith there. So it's a T-square. And it was in Leo and Taurus, or the Taurus-Scorpio axis. And so Lilith is the raw power. It's this raw force of independence. It's an independent, creative, birthing energy. It's also a very protective energy that kind of knows how to set boundaries and wants to set boundaries, and also really wants to explore the independent experience. And it's also an energy that is able to activate a lot of unfilteredness, so unfiltered emotion, unfiltered truth, working through shadows kind of field. And in square with the North and South Node back in February, we were really challenged and brought into our awareness of what it is that we need to transform in the body. Also a lot in the sexual field with our own sexualities, but also with the sexual energy that is creative energy, that is life energy, and finding ways to express that. And now the North and South Node have moved. So 6 months ago, that's where they were. And right now the North Node is in Aries. It's retrograding, which means the South Node is in Libra. It's at the very end. It's in 27 degrees. And Lilith right now is in 26 degrees of Leo. So it's still in Leo, It's in the same sign it was in 6 months ago. It's still the same energy, but it's not at the same decan. 6 months ago, it was more tapped into having that raw feeling with yourself, and also expressing all of the shadows to yourself, expressing the raw emotions to yourself, expressing the anger to yourself, finding ways to creatively deal with it yourself, and making it very personal. And right now, Lilith is in the third decan, which is much more transpersonal, about also the interactions you have with others, with groups, with collectives, with the plant world, with the animal world, with just anything that is outside of yourself, that is not a one-to-one connection, but really like how everything is connected, and expressing that rawness. First of all, showing much more of it to more people, and by rawness, I also don't mean anything negative. It's just a more unpolished version, and it's not our darkness is not only like us being angry and triggered, but it's also us being deep, us being showing the deeper parts of ourselves. We can also show them in a very calm way. We can also just express how we feel. We might share emotions that we don't usually tell people about because we are afraid that they will judge us, or because we feel shame, and we will be able to express that shame outwardly, and maybe even act in ways where people are able to perceive parts of ourselves that we usually like to hide. But right now, with that energy, it may feel more important for us to actually show it anyways, even with the fear of being judged, because our independence and our sense of being able to move freely in the way that we know that we needed is bigger right now than the fear and the potential of shame. So there was a square back then. Now, 6 months later, at the full moon, we have a trine between that north node and that Lilith, which means there's a sextile between the south node and Lilith. But this trine, again, is really bringing a lot of potential. It's a trine between two fire signs. It's not fire and earth, as it was back then, but now it's fire and fire. So I feel that this moving towards our purpose by utilizing this energy is now not so much happening in the body as it was back then, from a sense of healing anger and healing independence, and healing our ability to express our fullest truth and set boundaries. Lilith, I feel, is also very much about understanding how to set boundaries and how to navigate being able to guard yourself, protect yourself. And right now we have two fire signs. So that means to me it's really about understanding how to act that out, how to express it, how to activate our fire energy also, and how to utilize that to take actions. And again, it's maybe not so much about starting new things right now. There's so much retrograde energy. But I do feel that maybe it's about taking those actions that should have been taken already. It's about taking those actions that 6 months ago you understood you needed to take, but maybe you didn't yet for whatever reason. Really about taking those actions that aren't a sudden new insight, but really taking those actions that you really have been feeling for a while, and understanding how that plays a role in changing your experience towards the future self version that you want to become. So how these things and these boundaries and also these emotional expressions are supporting you and guiding you to be more how you envision yourself, how you desire yourself to be, and how that will also help you on the continuation of your path, of your journey here. That's this North Node energy. And at the same time, the sextile with the South Node, we also need to be aware of how to utilize understanding how our behaviors have been and which of those behaviors have been important, and some of them may still be important, and some of them may show us where we tend to fall into old patterns. So that might also be a very important topic right now. And yeah, it's been a lot already, so I'm gonna leave it at that. If you would like any more information, you can feel free to contact me. If you would like some personal guidance or to look in your personal transits right now, you can contact me. We can do that. I would be happy to. And yeah, I hope that this helped you find some clarity, some inspiration, and I invite you to take a look at the 20th of February, take a look at now, and try to find the connections there. Also, listen to yourself. You can invite your higher self in the dream realm right now. Also, I mean, you can always do that, but right now I feel it's very potent to, just before you go to bed, ask yourself a question, tell yourself thank you for opening yourself up, and go to sleep with the intention of finding more clarity. And maybe you'll wake up with a dream that you remember that may give you some symbolism or a feeling, or however you perceive life. And if you would like to share that with me, feel free. Yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you soon. Lots of love to you all. Thank you for being here, and have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful full moon and a beautiful experience of being alive. Goodbye.